Good morning, I'm Ms. Deline, and it's a lovely Monday morning, and I do a daily Oracle card, and I changed decks again. The other deck was not talking to me as well as I like, and I wanted to go a little bit more deep with these lessons that I'm giving, and so I wanted to suggest that a deck like the angel cards or the fairy cards, things like that, the ones especially by Doreen Virtue, they have good lessons, but sometimes they're pretty basic. Well, usually they're pretty basic, which, we need basic too. We always need reminders, but I just wanted to go a little bit deeper. And I wanted to suggest that you use those type of cards as kind of like an icebreaker when you have a group meeting, especially a women's circle, but any kind of spiritually minded class or whatever, the cards are a great icebreaker. Each person pulls a card, and then they tell, what they think it's representing for them. It's a fun way to get to know people. So anyway, on with today's card. Truth as Protection, the Arrow card. So I'm drawing from the Sacred Path deck by Jamie Sams, and her deck, the medicine cards with the animals, and these cards were a huge healing tool for me during a difficult time in my life. I still use them, especially the medicine cards. But anyway, Arrow, the attributes of Arrow are walking your truth, honoring your integrity, seeing truth in all things, using your truth in a good way, not needing to defend who you are or what you know, honoring the ideals of brotherhood and sisterhood. The challenges are fearing that you do not know your own truth, giving advice that you don't follow yourself, fearing to speak your truth, owning your mistakes by not always having to be right, refusing to be honest, allowing others their truth, protecting yourself by compromising your integrity. So those are some challenges that this card might present. If you've chosen the Arrow card, you're being asked to review the people in your life that you feel connected to in a loyal and committed way. Look at the beauty of each of them and notice what type of example they set as role models for you. This is the beginning of developing the sense of family that will support your warrior nature. In looking at the beauty of others and being willing to receive the lessons they impart, just by being who and what they are, there is no longer any need for jealousy or envy. So, we all go through times in our lives where we need our sisters and brothers' support. And this is a time to look at the truth of that, the truth of who these people are in your life, and if they are supporting you, if they are, if you're comfortable speaking your truth around them. When I first started working with this deck, was a time in my life when things like that were shifting, right? People were leaving my life that weren't supporting me in who I was, and people were coming in that were. And so look at the people in your life. Another message of the Arrow card is that no matter how great the struggle of any challenge, your warrior nature has the strength to meet and conquer the obstacles. So sometimes we forget that we do have that strength. For me, depression has always been I call it a companion in my life, and sometimes it's hard for me to get out of that kind of darkness, and I forget that I have the strength and I have the tools to temporarily forget, fortunately. but or we have to face a situation in our lives that is challenging. For instance, I talked to somebody about giving up a job. They love the person they work for, they hate the job, right? they feel like it's time to move on. That's hard to do, but Arrow is there. Truth as your protection. When you speak your own truth, it helps other people speak their truth. So Arrow may be asking you to do something that will call on bravery for bravery on your part. I kind of just talked about that. Completing that task might allow you to walk your truth and find a new side of your warrior spirit. The satisfaction of knowing that you did something that you might have not believed was possible before can bring forth the best of your gifts. It may be time to acknowledge those gifts so they may be used again in the future. Arrow may also be calling you to put yourself out in the world by following the truth of the warrior within. This chance could be entering a new career, becoming a single parent, opening your own business, sharing your hidden feelings with others, using your healing abilities, or doing any of a multitude of other things. The truth you hold is the reflection of your heart's greatest joy. When you follow your heart, you follow truth. Let me repeat those last two sentences. The truth you hold is the reflection of your heart's greatest joy. When you follow the heart, you follow your truth. And this, to me, is just so true. Anytime that I have followed my heart, it hasn't always been easy. It's like my heart knows. But then my mind has to put it into action, right? And it's not easy. But it's always really a good thing. Another thing I'd like to address with this card is speaking our truth. So I'm writing now, and I may have talked about this earlier, I can't remember, but I started writing, and I wrote something, and then when I went to edit it, I started all over again. I'm not the only one that I've heard doing that. The first time, it's like I had an intent, but I wasn't having integrity. And I know that's hard to believe if you know me, because I do have integrity. And I caught myself. I was not wanting to share some hard truths. It's a memoir, okay? I was not wanting to share some hard truths. And so I was not trusting my readers. I was not trusting myself to get those truths out, because me talking about those things, me expressing those things in the way that I express them can help other people. Maybe help them speak their own truth. Because my belief is that when we hold woundings, and I'm talking about like childhood woundings, woundings from things like violence, rape, when we don't express them, when we keep them inside because we feel tainted or we feel ashamed, or whatever the reason, and we don't share, then it keeps them in the darkness. It also keeps them festering. Those kind of things are like an infection in our souls or in our hearts, right? And they keep festering. When we when we recognize our warrior selves and think of this truth arrow, and step into our power and talk about those things, whether it's to a trusted friend. It doesn't mean like me, I'm going to write it in a public way. But, I've had a lot of working up to that point, therapy, friends, loved ones, okay, over time. But it took me many years, like 50 years, right, before I began to share what happened to me. And as that happens, you're exposing it to the light, right? You are bringing that dark thing out into the light so that it can heal. You are allowing your brothers and sister warriors to give you the support that you need to let that go, so that it no longer festers, so that it no longer affects your life, so that it's no longer a pain that you carry with you. It's just something that happened. I can talk about what happened to me without any pain. Unfortunately, what I found is that sometimes other people feel pain, so I'm learning how to talk about it. It's complicated. But anyway, I can talk about it without feeling pain. That's because I brought it into the light, exposed it to the light, let go of my shame around it. I didn't do anything wrong. I was completely innocent, completely. And so it's in speaking our truth, and I'm not talking about exposing yourself. I'm talking about sharing your truth in a safe way, in a safe environment, so that you can step past the pain and more further into the light. So this truth arrow is powerful stuff, right? Remember that you are a warrior. It is okay for you to speak your truth. And that as you do, you'll have more strength. You'll become a stronger warrior. So that's my message today. And I didn't read much of the book, but that's okay. I'm guided to say what I say, and that's all I know. Love you guys. Happy Monday.